Communications and Marketing Manager for GHW Partners, and CoachG. Right now, I'm on my way to get a little bit of coffee in the morning. I'm not one of those people that gets up and works out and does like a 30-step thing and, you know, drinks a bunch of protein before the day. I try to have my mornings pretty chill because all day long it's going to be chaotic. So I just kind of like to roll into the day with a real chill vibe. Every day by the time I get in, there's tons of messages, tons of new projects. Chase has a lot of ideas all the time, which is really good, but they come all the time. So a lot of times when I get to work, I've got a ton of new emails, and plus I've got projects that I've been working on going. So it's exciting though. It's better than being bored. I hate being bored. So I did a lot of art in high school, did a lot of art classes. I was always artistic, but I knew that like you're not gonna make any money as an artist or anything like that, and I was never good enough to do that. But when I got out of high school, I had no idea what I was gonna do. I knew I was gonna go to community college, and I started a summer job for a nonprofit, and then I was just making copies and just doing grunt work. And I ended up staying there, and a couple years later, I had still been doing that, and their website was a mess. It was a one-page website, and the volunteer that made it, she did a great job, but at the same time, like it was not easy to navigate. It was not friendly at all. So my executive director at the time told me that if I could figure it out and redesign it, I could take over the website, and then that would obviously be a promotion for me, and so I could move up. And so that's kind of how I did things in increments. Like I would move slowly up by learning how to do a new skill. So I would slowly like learn how to do things because they needed things fixed, or they needed things redone because it was so out of date. And as I did that, I would make more money, which was nice. But at some point I hit a ceiling and I wasn't happy, so I decided to freelance. And I freelanced for a few years, and I liked it, but I was bored because I didn't have anybody to challenge me. I didn't have anybody to tell me, you know, new ideas or anything like that. And so I had gone to high school with Chase, and when you drive around Springfield, you see Chase everywhere. All the Greening Health and Wealth billboards are everywhere. And one day he posted something about a job opening, but it was actually for an agent position, and I thought I could probably do that. So I texted him, and it turned out they were looking for an office manager. But once I interviewed with him and Emily, and they saw my background in graphics and website design and everything, and marketing, they decided I would get into that role first, and then I would move up from there. So the admin role wasn't like a permanent role, but it was a great role. I really liked that one. I got to meet all the clients. I got to learn about Medicare, which I think is really important because now I actually understand the pain points and what people go through. I like that I get to work on so many different projects. My day isn't just one thing or one brand. I'm working on white glove brands for CoachG clients. So it doesn't get stagnant. I'm always working on something different. And because I get bored when I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. So every day is different, every project is different, every person I deal with is different. And so it makes every day unique. So the time flies by and I don't even realize what time it is by the end of the day. I think it's solving a problem, or I know specifically now working in the Medicare space, like I didn't realize how scary it was for people, especially people in their 70s, 80s. It's so confusing and it's really scary, and I am now passionate about the fact that I want to make brands for these CoachG clients because they're good people. They're going to take care of their clients and give them the service that they need. But a lot of times, like, their brands are not accurately portraying who they are. They're not showing off who they are and their talent. So I'm very passionate now about making sure that their brands actually speak for them. And I want them to create a whole ecosystem in their area, and I want them to pull in the kind of clients that are like them and they're going to attract, because those people might not find somebody who they trust and who's going to take care of them. And I didn't realize before I did this job how important that was. So I think I like to help people, and I just like to solve problems if I can. Creatively, what motivates me, I mean, anything. I'm always looking at different designs. I'm always looking at logos, packaging, everything. So I might see a package for, like, I saw a sardine package, like a tin fish packaging, and I got an idea for a logo layout. So I feel like anything and anywhere like inspires me and motivates me, because as soon as I see that and I get that idea, I'm like, I gotta make that. I just want to be the best that I can be. I feel like I spent a long time not reaching my fullest potential, and now the older I get, and especially in my 30s, I feel like I didn't realize I had as much potential as I did until I started working at GHW. My favorite part of my creative process is probably like the mood board phase. I like going and finding inspiration and then just throwing everything together, and I'll start I make probably 20 different versions of everything. And I think that's my favorite part, is there's so many options. Like, you can make as many things as you want, and I think that's really cool, because then at the end of the day, like, I've got all these projects that I can use later on too, and I can take inspiration from. So on the agenda today, I've got a lot of emails I need to go through this morning, and a lot of projects that are just kind of a lot of CoachG white glove projects that are basically at the end of their lifespan right now. So I need to close those up and finalize them. I've got several designs that Chase needs done, so I really need to get on those today. And then my new virtual assistant, Zyron, we need to do a little bit more training. He's doing fantastic. So I need to give him a little bit more clarity though on social media posting and creating static images. But we got off to a great start yesterday. And then I need to go through, and now that I have him, I can start to look at like the bigger picture. So I want to look through really making sure each one of our brands is congruent across every platform, every handout that we make, every post that we make. I want to make sure everything matches, colors, typography, everything. And then that'll probably close up my day, but I'm excited to get these projects done and get them moving, so that, you know, these white glove people can really get moving forward at their agency. So I do need to prep today for the branding blitz. We do that twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Usually people can kind of just come in and ask questions about branding or their website or anything along those lines. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have like tips and tricks for them every week. So this week I created a social media batching guide, and a guide they can use if they're going to a photographer and getting their assets, like photos for their website and whatnot. So I want to break that up into pieces that are like easily digestible. So I really want to work on that. It's a pretty typical day, but yeah, we're excited. I'm excited to get after it today. I think what makes a brand stand out to me is instantly I know what they do. So I can look at them, and after 2 or 3 seconds, I know exactly what they do, who they're helping, what they're trying to sell. I think a lot of brands try to be too artsy with their logos, and I think it can be difficult for people to understand exactly what they're selling or who they are. When I start a brand from scratch, one of the first things I do is, well, first of all, I talk to the client, and then first I'm gonna go look at their social media. I'm gonna look at the way that they interact on the calls, how they talk, what they look like, how they dress, their hobbies. That way I can kind of see the vibe that I want to make for them. Once I do that, then I go to the drawing board and then I pull out I make a mood board. So I go through inspiration and I pull out the vibe that I want, that I know I want, and then I just kind of go from there. So I'm working on a new brand project right now, and it's for one of our CoachG clients. She is doing a brand refresh, or it's not a full rebrand, but she is wanting to update her look and feel of her logo. So this is her current website, and this is her logo right now. It's a little bit outdated. It doesn't really show what she is. It's too big. She's gonna have a hard time putting this on anything. And I know from talking to her, she is very, very passionate about this little manatee with the gold crown, Molly. And so when I talk to her, I know that's something that's really important to her and that she wants to have on there. So I want to incorporate this manatee somehow into the design, but still keep it elevated. And that's going to be the challenge. But I do like the manatee because it really represents where she lives, and it's very Linda. And I want to keep it very warm and personable because that is how Linda is. So like an academy style or a icon that was more of a monogram would not be right for her because that's not the kind of vibe that she puts off. She is a softer, kind of more caring persona. So I want to go with softer lines and just something a little bit more modern and elevated. So to start with, we sent her these copies right here, and I got some feedback from her. So when I got her feedback, she really wants to keep the typeface charm from Canva, except for when I go in and I add it, it just makes it really difficult to read manatee. So what I'm going to do is I need to find a happy medium with her. So I think I'm going to do something special with just the M with charm and then switch the rest of it to, what am I using to enter? And that hopefully will give us a more updated look while still keeping what she wanted with that charm. So let's see if this works. And I'll probably send her a version of this first just to see, but I can also go in and I'll personalize that M a little bit more so that it's a little bit more unique to her and the way that it fits into manatee. So I'm thinking something along the lines of this. And one thing with branding projects, I can like a particular thing all I want till I'm blue in the face. But if the client doesn't like it and if they don't feel it, then it doesn't matter what I like. It only matters what they like and what's going to make them feel confident putting it on their website, putting it on their clothing, all that good stuff. Because if they don't feel good about it, you're going to feel that in the appointment. You're going to feel that in their day-to-day. And we want Linda to feel good because we love Linda. And we love these little manatees. So one big thing for people who are thinking about rebranding or thinking about refreshing your agency's logo or just your entire branding is to make sure that you're happy with the finished outcome. Don't just go through and make one real quick in Canva and then call it good. You want to make something that's a little bit like, it needs to be unique so you don't look like everybody else, but at the same time, you don't want to agonize for so long so it's holding you back with your business. One thing that I really like to do when I'm branding, and if I was branding myself or something, I would, and I wasn't getting really good feedback from somebody, or I had a client like that, I would go ahead and I would have other people look at the brand for me, like send the logo to somebody, you know, a friend or a family member, and ask them if they can, when they look at it, if they can tell what it means. Like ask them to explain what they think that brand is. Because it might make sense to me, but if it doesn't make sense to their potential clients, then that's not going to get them anywhere. And we want to make sure they're 100% confident and that they want to use their logo and it makes them feel good. I love to use AI for pretty much anything. So if you're stuck on something, if you decide to rebrand yourself and you're stuck and you don't know where to start, just jump into Gemini, jump into ChatGPT and just talk to it. Tell it who you are, tell it what your goal is, who your target audience is, and they can help you at least get you started. Because sometimes the hardest thing is just literally putting the first thing on the page. Once you put the first thing down, everything usually flows after that. And one piece of advice that I will give somebody who is trying to build a logo on their own and using AI is just to make sure at the end of it that you get a file that has a transparent background, and that is a PNG. Because sometimes when those logos come out of ChatGPT or Gemini, they can be kind of complex and they're hard to break down. And so when you're trying to give it to someone to put on your website or to put on a billboard, if you're going to do a billboard, it might be a little bit of a challenge. So you want to make sure from the get-go that you have a good file. So I use Gemini or ChatGPT every day. I don't want to say I use it for everything, but if I'm ever stuck in the creative process and I've gone through my mood boards and I've looked for inspiration and I still just can't find anything, I will jump into Gemini, tell it what's going on, prompt it to just give me some ideas and just throw some things at me. And a lot of times it'll give me some options that I'm not going to use the whole thing or the original in my project, but it'll at least give me an idea of where I might want to start or where I don't want to start. And that can be a really easy tool for anybody to use. You just have to, it just takes a little bit of time sometimes to get the right prompt and to get the right outcome. So I put in this one again and it's still not giving me what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up ChatGPT and I'm going to ask ChatGPT for a prompt that I can give Gemini. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to make me a prompt to give to Gemini to make a logo, to make an illustration look updated, but still keep the overall essence of it. Okay, let's see what happens. And this is a really, really good idea if you're stuck in Gemini or in ChatGPT for a long time and you just can't get anywhere. You guys are going round and round and round. So sometimes we just need them to talk to each other. So I'm going to paste that in. And now it's going to act as a brand illustrator or a visual designer and redesign and refresh this illustration. So we'll see how this works out. And this is just one component that you can use AI for. You don't have to use AI for the entire thing. If you have an idea of a icon that you want to see in your logo, or you're just trying to conceptualize it. And one thing to know too, Canva is coming out with some really, really great features. They've got a layers feature. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit closer now. So they have got a layers feature that's really great. So you can easily take apart the layers in a graphic or in your logo. That way you can pick and pull pieces you want. Don't be afraid to jump in and play with the different apps or the different editing tools that Canva has. The worst thing you can do is just hit Command Z. You'll be totally fine. Okay, so that's getting closer to what I want. But I want it a little bit thinner. I don't like that crown on there. But we also use AI for all of our email marketing. I use AI to write copy for me, or at least give me a good start. And that way I can go in and make sure the brand voice aligns with each brand that we have, which is amazing because it saves me a lot of time. And I'm not a grammar expert, so it definitely cuts down on my work time. And that's something that you can do for copy for your newsletters. You could go into making copy for your social media. So you can batch out your social media using ChatGPT or Gemini and make yourself, a month's worth of content in 20 minutes. One thing I will say though is just always make sure that you proofread it and that you go back and you really sit down and you think, is this my voice? Is this my brand's voice? Because if you put it out and it sounds too much like AI or it doesn't sound like your brand, then you're going to move away from that consistency factor that is so important when you've got a design or you've got a brand. You want to make sure that everything is consistent, because if it's not, you're just going to lose trust from your customers. They should see, when they go to your website, it should look like your landing pages for your webinars or your educational materials for them. Everything should look the same so they know exactly where they are. You don't ever want to send them somewhere that doesn't even look like your brand and then they think that you scammed them, and nobody likes that. That's one thing people don't realize is how much time goes into this. So they might think that I just put it in AI and then download it after the first prompt, but I'm actually going in and hand tooling it because I can't get it the way that I want. Let's see. All right, what else do I need to touch on? I just want to simplify this just a little bit. Because the most important thing at the end of the day is that Linda is going to feel good. I want the client to feel good about when she puts this out, when she puts it on a giant sign outside of her office so she can catch all that walking traffic, because that's one thing when I know Linda, I've spoken with her, I know who she is, how she runs her agency, I know what her office looks like, and I just want to keep this warm vibe so that she will attract all the clients that I think she needs to. And then right now, it's not flowing as smoothly as I would like it to. So sometimes when I get to a point like this, I might start to get frustrated and feel a little bit blocked. And that means I need to usually walk away for a little bit. I need to look at a different project. I need to get up and go outside. I need to listen to something so I'm not thinking about it. That way, it will usually kind of come back around and I'll find the solution. But it can be incredibly frustrating. And that's one thing I've had to learn over the years, is that they're going to happen. Blocks are going to happen, and you just have to walk away for a little bit and come back to it, or ask somebody else for their opinion. And a lot of times, something that you've been doing, or there's something that's right there that you missed that you wouldn't have thought of before. Now I feel like that font's not matching anymore, not working with this, with Charmed. So I want to find one that's going to work with Charm. And so what I'm going to do to cut down on time is I'm going to go ahead and ask Gemini. And if you use Google Workspace, you'll probably have a tab at the top that will open up. And it's right now, it's focused on this page that I have open. And so I'm going to ask it, what is the best typeface to go along with Charm? And let's see what kind of options it gives me. That way I'm not just scrolling through all of these fonts, because that will take forever. And ain't nobody got time for that. Let's see, Montserrat. I feel like we use that a lot. All right, so let's try Glacial Indifference. I feel like I want something a little bit thinner and a little bit more curvy. So let's try Playfair. Yes and no. So let's try this. And this is just going to be a lot of trial and error until something actually feels like it fits. That doesn't fit. So let me try. Let's see how this works in all caps. Now I'm almost thinking about just going back to scratch on this whole concept. Okay. And this is why it takes so long to create a brand, and it's so important that you take the time to create a brand, because now I'm just not necessarily happy with the way this is working. So I'm going to scratch it and go with a completely different concept. And so I'm going to copy the file and then come in with something completely different. And one thing you can do if you're stuck and Gemini or ChatGPT is not giving you anything, jump into Canva templates and just look. Just type in curvy logo, because a lot of times it might just give you an idea of where you want to go or where you don't want to go. And sometimes I've had this before where I don't think something will work. I know something's not going to work, even though the client really insists. And so I'll give them some other options and I'll explain to them why it doesn't work. I've done that before with another brand. They wanted different colors, a different color scheme. And once I had told them, I was like, it's just not the right color palette for you. Here's the reason why I chose your color palette. And they're like, I don't know, we still want that one. Until they saw it and realized that I was right and that it did look much better with the color palette that I had chosen. And she was going with health and wealth. And see, I like this typeface. So I might try and see what this one looks like for the bottom section of her logo. It's all about trial and error. So when I'm working on a web design project for a client, the first thing I want to do is naturally look at the site they already have. This is a client's website that I worked on. This was their original site, and it says what he does a little bit, but doesn't really specify what he sells. It doesn't put an emphasis on Medicare. It's kind of just a little bit all over the place. But the biggest red flag that I found when I got on this site was that it gave me an error or it gave me a security risk pop-up when I tried to go on the website. So it had been flagged as a security risk because it wasn't secure. So that's a huge, huge problem for somebody. How many leads could, have gone to this website and got turned off because they thought they were afraid they were going to get a virus? So nobody wants that. He also had a second website that he was using as well. And so this was one with the brand, and then this is the other one. And with this one's a little bit more modern. It had a different URL though, which didn't really make sense. So it's not following the brand guidelines for his original brand. So I really don't know who this is. I don't know what this is. I mean, I know that he sells cancer and critical illness insurance, but I don't know anything about Medicare. I don't see anything. I don't see any explanation or what I need to do. I can look at his reviews, but other than that, it just doesn't leave a good feeling. So when I went to redo his website, one thing that was really important to him is he wanted to keep it simple. And so that's what we did. And he was very, very passionate about cancer and heart and stroke policies and just the exposures that people have that they don't realize, and they never fully understand because we were never taught anything like that and what Medicare doesn't cover. So this is where we got with his new site. We've got a beautiful picture of him talking to clients. And one thing to always do when you're making a website or social media ads or anything like that, the clients that you have in your picture, they should look like your demographic. So we know that we want somebody turning 65 or older, since that's who we're trying to appeal to. So I don't want to put some teenagers in there because that's not going to make any sense. So it all needs to roll together. So as you can see, it tells exactly what he does. It's Medicare made simple. And then it gives you statistics that's so important to him to let people know, what the risks are and how many people get cancer per year and then how it affects them. And then it tells how he makes it simple. It gives you a step-by-step. You can book your appointment. We've got clear call to actions to book an appointment. He also just finished his webinar, I think, not too long ago. And he should have a join the webinar or sign up for a webinar. So let's look and see. Yep, there we go. So now we can register for the webinar off the bat. So when you look at a website or you read anything, you read left to right. So I know I'm going to start right here at Keep It Simple, and then I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to go up. And so one of the first actions I'm going to take is to register for the webinar. But if I want to know a little bit more, we've got Medicare information, and then once again, another call to action. There should be a call to action on every page. It needs to be easy for them to book an appointment with you, or it needs to be easy for them to register for a webinar or a seminar or anything like that with you. And then got all kinds of education on here. So this website turned out really, really beautifully, and I do love the way this looks. It's clean, it's simple, it's modern. I mean, it's just beautiful. All right, guys, we are headed home after a full day in the office. It was a pretty average day, busy all day. Worked on so many different projects. Worked on a VSL landing page, a content creation menu. I worked on 3 different websites. I got my VA, I got him squared away so he could go ahead and update some documents for us. Had a branding blitz call that was really, really good today. That was a great call. Don't do it, dude. And then what else did I have today? There was something else I did. There was probably a few other things. Oh, I worked on a logo today too, but that didn't really get me anywhere, so I'm gonna have to restart that tomorrow. So all in all, it was a pretty good day. I'm pretty happy with the progress. A lot of people don't realize that people who work in creative roles, a lot of times, like, I don't want to do creative stuff outside of work. I don't want to make an invitation for somebody's baby shower, and that makes me feel really guilty. But I don't think people realize how, like, mentally exhausting it is to be on all the time and, like, to constantly have to come up with new designs that are exciting and that are going to move the needle, because you never know, like, you can make something that just flops, and it's just, that can be exhausting. I remember I read an article one time, I can't remember what magazine editor it was, and she talked about she wears the same thing, or it was a creative editor for like Vogue or something. She wears the same thing every day, like the same combination of like black shirt, white pants, and like vice versa, because making a creative decision every day of like what to wear is just like a waste of her creativity, because you only have so much. So I don't think people realize that it's just it can like just mentally exhaust you. Now, people definitely do not understand that the amount of time it takes to make something, like to completely creating like your identity, you know, as an owner, as a business owner, as an agency owner, and something that's going to go with you forever. So I'm not one of those people that just like cranks out a logo every hour, because I just feel like that's so inauthentic and it's just watered down. I don't know. I care enough that I want you guys to have, like, I want everybody to have the exact design that they want. I want them to feel good about it. And it just takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to get one graphic perfect. It takes a lot of time to make everything individual for everybody, because you don't want anybody to feel like they're getting the same thing as everybody else. Everybody wants to be unique, and so it can be challenging and really time consuming to go in and just make every single thing unique for everybody. So again, I hope you learned something today and you really enjoyed getting to see, you know, the ins and outs of everything. If you really want to grow your business, if you really want to move the needle, you should click the link below and book a strategy call with us. We'd love to talk to you. So you can like and subscribe below, or if you have any questions about branding or anything else with your agency and how to move the needle forward, just go ahead and throw it in the comments, and then we hope to see you in the next video.